This is Lee from the Law School Toolbox and Bar Exam Toolbox. Why do people fail the bar exam? Nicola, one of our tutors, is here to share her thoughts. Hi, Nicola. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Lee. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so my first question for you is, as a tutor that helps students prep for the UBE bar exam, why do you think most people fail the bar?
So I was thinking about this, and I think the students who fail the bar really fall into two categories. And it's either I didn't study enough hours, which is kind of just that's just, you have to have the time and be willing to put in the time to study. But the other category of students are the students who study ineffectively. And we talk a lot with students about passive studying. I run into a lot of students who spend time, reading outlines or reviewing outlines or watching hours and hours of video lectures. And so I think most students who fail the bar exam fall into one of those two camps, where it's, I didn't spend enough hours studying, or really, I didn't spend enough hours actively engaging with the material and doing practice questions. I maybe took a lot of time sitting at my desk, but what I was doing during that time wasn't very effective.
Yeah, we often call it, making yourself uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not doing the right kind of setting, because the right kind of setting doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel validating, and it doesn't. It feels like really hard work.
Right. That's exactly right. It feels like really hard work, and usually involves, doing practice questions before you're ready, which kind of goes to, like you said, feeling uncomfortable. Like, maybe I don't quite know this rule, but doing these practice questions about it is going to help me learn it. And I have to be willing to get stuff wrong now so that I get it right on the exam.
So if you just found out that you didn't pass, what do you think is the most important thing that someone should consider when retaking the bar exam?
Well, I think that this goes back to sort of a self-evaluation of two things. I guess you can get your self-evaluation from two different sources. Some jurisdictions, a lot of jurisdictions offer detailed score reports, or they'll even release your essay answers and performance test answers to you, which I know can be kind of painful. If you fail the bar, a lot of students don't want to look at those. I don't want to see what I wrote. I know I did horribly on the essays. But you can actually get some really good information about what may have happened to you on the exam from looking at those past answers. And you usually have to order them. So I would say, order your answers if you can. Do that self-evaluation of your actual performance on the test. And then the other part of the self-evaluation goes back to the study habits, right? Like, what was I doing when I was studying? And I think we have a lot of great questions that we ask students. I get students' self-evaluation forms when I get paired with a new student. And there's a lot of really good questions in that, like, what percentage of your time did you spend watching video lectures? What percentage of your time did you spend doing flashcards? What percentage did you spend doing practice questions? And so I think answering those specific questions for yourself and saying, oh, okay, doing flashcards was really effective because it helped me memorize the rules, whereas reading my outline was maybe something I could do quickly to get a general lay of the land, but I don't need to spend hours doing that. So I think it's that self-evaluation process, both of your prior scores and answers, and then also your study habits, that is what's going to help you make a plan for your retake.
Yeah. I even think when somebody gets those answers, sometimes it can be super intimidating to go through them. So even if all you do is you take a couple different color highlighters and just highlight all your issue statements, and then highlight all your rule statements, and then highlight your analysis section and highlight your conclusion, or if it needs to be written in the CREAC form, you can highlight it that way. But just starting to break it down for yourself, because sometimes you can do that and then you say, oh, there is no analysis section. Oops,
Yes.
But sometimes just like having the green highlighter will show you like a big
Yes.
mistake. So you can kind of do activities to make it a little bit more approachable to go through those answers. But you do have to take that yucky medicine and just force yourself to go through them.
Yeah. And even having a second set of eyes, I know I review past answers for students, and sometimes that can be helpful. Um, yeah, someone you trust, and then also, having a method for doing it yourself, for sure.
All right. Every tutor has this one thing that you find yourself saying over and over again to your students. So what is your one thing that you say over and over again to your students?
And so you kind of hit on it already when you were saying like, oh, I go through with the highlighter and, I have my issue statement, then I have my rule statement. And then I realize, oh, there's no analysis section. The thing that, and I've actually had students joke with me about it before, because when I'm giving written feedback on essay answers, or I repeat it when we go over answers during meetings, is again, you don't get points for summarizing the facts. Because I find a lot of students, once they get past the initial, like, okay, I'm actively studying now, I know the rules, but my essay questions, I'm still not scoring enough points on the essays. It's usually the missing piece, I think, is the analysis section. And instead of having an actual analysis where they're explaining why they reached the conclusion and linking the rule with the facts, they end up just summarizing the relevant facts and leave sort of that last question of like the bar examiner's mind of like, yes, but you're pointing out a relevant fact, but you're not telling me why that fact matters. And so I think it's closing that logical loop and making sure there's a true analysis section in there. And like I said, I've had students joke around with me because they'll get feedback where it's like, again, you don't get points for summarizing the fact. This is not an analysis. And I'll highlight, like, this is a summary of the fact. And so I had one student last time, and I was like, good, I'm glad you're like making fun of that, because when you're writing your essays on the exam, I want you to hear my voice saying points for summarizing the facts.
Yeah. I always tell people that you don't need to go to law school to summarize facts. Anyone can summarize facts, right?
Yes,
Anyone.
exactly.
We went to law school to think like lawyers, and analysis is thinking like a lawyer. That's what we're trained to do. So if you miss out on putting that on the page, that's really what they want to see. In theory, since the bar exam is showing that we are prepared to be practicing lawyers. But that is the piece. You didn't have to go to law school to summarize facts. Anyone can do that. So that's always the thing I go back to is I'm like, you spent all this money and all this time going to law school. Show that you can think like a lawyer. That's really what they're testing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today and sharing your tips for bar retakers. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to give us a like and leave a comment. And be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future content. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via our website contact form at barexamtoolbox.com. Thanks for watching.